Tom Waits singing "A Good Man is Hard to Find." This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez, our guest, Lawrence Lessig, professor at Harvard Law School, a co-founder of the nonprofit Change Congress. Juan?
Well, Professor Lessig, you've called for the way to affect real reform would be by holding a constitutional convention, by getting the various states to begin pressing for a constitutional convention. But given the enormous power that you say that corporate America already has in American society, aren't you worried perhaps that such a convention, if it were able to succeed, might end up eliminating the Bill of Rights or taking the convention, the Constitution backwards instead of forward?
Well, you have to remember that the convention that the framers imagined in Article 5 of the Constitution only has the power to propose amendments. And any amendment that gets proposed still has to be ratified by 3/4 of the states. So that's 38 states, meaning any 12 states can block any proposed amendment. Now, there are 12 solid red states and there are 12 solid blue states. So I don't think either side has an opportunity to, in some sense, take over the other. But I think that the critical point about a convention is that it is the only method for constitutional change that Washington itself can't direct and control. And there's an enormous amount of energy right now happening in Congress, people talking about entering an amendment through the congressional process. And my view is that that's both a waste of time because there's no 67 votes in the United States Senate to support, for example, an amendment to overturn Citizens United. And also, it's the wrong context for that kind of reform. What Congress needs to be doing right now is passing the citizen-funded election bill, the Larson-Jones bill, to make it so that people can once again believe in how Congress does its work. And we need to begin the long process of constitutional reform through this convention process. Also, the politics of this are very different. People can have an idea of what's broken and how to fix it. So some people think we have to overturn Citizens United. Other people, like I, think that the important thing is to make sure Congress has the power to create its own independence from private interests and dependence upon the people. Some people think the president needs a line-item veto. These are hard questions. They're not going to be resolved through a tweet or through some online internet poll. What has to happen is there has to be a long conversation across the political spectrum that either first produces the call for a convention and then second in the convention itself. Now, obviously it's a long shot, but the one thing we know from history is the only time the United States Congress has ever voluntarily amended the Constitution to reduce its power or make it more directly responsive to the people was in the context of the 17th Amendment, which was inspired largely because a convention movement that was going to force the same amendment into the states had grown and become substantial enough that people thought it was a likelihood to happen. So I'm eager for the pressure of a convention, either directly or indirectly, to force the reform that I think that we need to get this democracy back to being a democracy.
Lawrence Lessig, we want to thank you for being with us, professor of law at Harvard Law School, co-founder of the nonprofit Change Congress. His cover story in The Nation is How to Get Our Democracy Back.